Good afternoon. You are welcome to the channel. I'll be talking about positioning in HTML CSS. So when we are talking about positioning, it is talking about where actually you want your elements that you have created to appear on the screen. There are some times that you want element A to be on the right side, you want element B to be on the left side, you want element C to be in the middle. But naturally, inbuilt, like HTML works by creating all elements like vertically, and they appears on the left side of the screen. For example, now let me just bring out example of what we have created in the past. So you can see that all these elements, they are appearing on the left side and they are stacked on top of each other. So that is example of the default way where HTML creates elements. But the CSS allows you to alter the property of each element in such a way that, okay, you might decide that you want this element in this place. So that is where positioning property comes in. So let's talk about the type of positioning. We have 4 different type of positioning. We have the position static, we have the position relative, we have the position absolute, and we have the position sticky. So the position number 1, the position static, is the first type of position. It is the default that the HTML uses. It stacks elements on top of each other, like element 2 will appear below element 1, while the element 3 will appear below element 2. So it creates it as the elements, it stack elements as they are created. But when we are talking about position relative, relative, it positions the elements relative to the place that you have put it. If you put position relative on an element, it will still stay there until you actually put some other properties. For example, the top, the bottom, the right and left, so that you can use it to shift that element. It is positioned relative to itself, as the name apply. When we are talking about position absolute will actually position the elements relative to the viewport. The viewport that I'm talking about, let me close this, is the edges of the screen. That is where we call the viewport. So once you apply the position absolute to an element, it is going to position it relative to the viewport, and when you put the top left, right and bottom property, it is going to actually attach it then. When we are talking about position sticky, which is the 4th positioning, it is when you want an element to actually stay in one place throughout, like stay in one place even if you are scrolling that particular page, it is still going to appear there, like at that same place. If you want an element that you want your page viewers to see every time, like even when they scroll up, you still want it to appear there. For example, the nav bar, you know that the nav bar is always appearing at the top. So anywhere that you are, you can click the nav bar. So that is an example of position static position sticky. Now let's get to coding. The first thing is to create an HTML, then inside our body to actually demonstrate this. I am going to be using boxes, and to create a box in HTML we use div. So I'll be creating my box using div, then I can call it a class of box. Okay, then let me create other boxes. Let me create like 4 different boxes, 3, 4. Then I'll come to the top here to write their property using the style tag. So then, as we have already known that we have used class here, then to call it we use dots. If we put id here, we are going to use hashtag, but since we have used class, we use dot box here. The first thing that I'll change is let me change their width. Let me call it 200 pixel. Let me change the height to 200 pixel. But now, okay, let me go and refresh. You can see that nothing is appearing on the screen. For it to appear, you can actually change their color, or let me just put it like this. Border. There is a property called border. So you can just change their border. You can say 2 pixel solid black. So I want to border it like this. You can see they are actually here now. Box 1, box 2, box 3 and box 4. They are stacked on top of each other. Let me name those boxes. So inside the box, let me just put box 1. So here I'm going to put box 2. Here I'm going to put box 3, and here I'm going to put box 4. So let's see what happens. Okay, this is box 1, box 2, box 3 and box 4. If you have actually watched earlier videos, this is looking like a block level element, and for me to be able to demonstrate this, I need them to be in horizontal form. I want them to be an inline block element. So I'm going to change the display. I'm going to change it to inline block. You can see from the suggestion here, inline block. So I'm going to save it, then come back here. You can see that they are now actually appearing on a horizontal level. Let me just try and put some spaces. Like I want some spaces around these boxes here. Then I can talk about putting margin. Let me put margin 30 pixel. Let's see if it's too wide. Okay, I think it's cool like this, so that we can actually practicalize how things will be. Or let me put margin top. Not ordinary margin top. Okay, let me now change it to around 60. I think it's cool like this. I like it this way. So now, when we are talking about position relative, as I've talked about static before, static means that the default, right? So now the major ones are the position relative, position absolute, and position sticky. So now let's pick the first one, position relative. If I want this box here, let's say box 2, I don't want it right here. I want it at the right side of the screen. What do you think I'll do? I'll just position it relatively. Then I'll come to box 2 here. Then I can create an inline CSS to it, the style parameter. Then I can say position, I'll say relative. Once I put position relative, you see that it still maintain its previous space, but there is a way that you are going to shift it. You use the top, right, bottom and left property to change where it's actually positioned. But the first thing is that you have to use the position property before you can actually have access to use the top, right, left and bottom. So now I can say, since we want to shift it towards this side, so the left property is actually telling you that, okay, you want to generate spaces around the left. So let's see, left, I can say left 200 pixel. Let's see what will happen. Let me close it, let me terminate. You can see it's stacking on top of the box 3, which means that we have not gotten to where we are going. So 200 is not enough, so let's say 500. Let's see what will happen. You can see it's actually moving that box. 500 is not also enough. Let's use 700. You can see we have actually shifted box 2 from the elements. We have shifted from its actual position. Let me use 600 so that it can appear very well. No, 600 is too much. 650 is too small. 650. How about 650? Let's say 630. No, 620, so that it can actually look ahead. You can see that it has changed. Now we have box 1. The space of box 2 is still there, untouched. We have box 3, box 4. Then we actually now have box 2. So now if we actually calculate the spaces, okay, we talked about box 1 is 200 pixel, right? So it means 200. This small space is 200. For an element to be here, we have to have 200, 400. So it's shifting from here to here. So the space here 200, 200, 400, 600. Then the inches here, which is just like 20 pixels. So that's why we use 620 pixel here. So that's how to shift an element using top, left, right and bottom property. If you don't want it to appear on that line again, you can actually use the top. So top, now you can say top is 100 pixel. So if you can see now, you can see, because this place from here to here is actually 100, is from here, from the beginning to the end of box 4 is actually 200 pixels. So now if we use top of 100 pixel, it is going to start at the mid of the box 4. So if I use 200, here, you can see the height is appearing, the box is appearing towards the bottom right of element of box 4. Yeah. If we want box 2 now to be below box 4, the only thing is that we should just remove 200, the size of box 4, which is 200 pixel. We can remove it from the left property of that we have applied to box 2 here. So the left, you can just remove 200, it will remain 420 here. Let's see, you can see it's not well aligned. Okay, the 20 pixel that we actually added the other time, okay, 400. Okay, now that's much. 410, you can see 430 is much. 420, hey, you can see that it's appearing below it now, is appearing below it. So with the position property, you can actually change how the elements are appearing on the screen. Okay, you want this place to be on the left. Okay, you can create it at the left. You want this thing to be at the right. You can create it at the right. It depends on how you want your page to be. Inside the box, you can actually have HTML elements, like let's say h2. You can have h2. Okay, I've not opened the tag h2, so which means that okay, this is h2. You can see, you can actually, instead of just writing plain text, you can have other elements inside your div. You can have other elements inside your div. You can have image inside your div. You can have paragraph. You can have as many elements as possible. You can have as many elements as possible inside your box. So that is position relative for you. Let me remove the property of this box too, so that it can come back to normal. So now let me now talk about position absolutes. Position absolutes, once you apply it to an element, it will remove that element from the normal document flow. For example, now when we are using the position relative, we can still see that the element, the space for that element is still there, but the elements can still move to other places. The spaces here, you can see that position relative still puts that space there, while the element is still moving around. But when you are using position absolute, that is not the case. That is not the case, because okay, let me try and put style, then let me position it absolute. You will see what will happen now. You will see, let me you can see now they are left with 3 boxes, but where does the box 2 go? You can see we have box 1, we have box 1, we have box 3, and we have box 4. Where does the box 2 go? I've already given you a brief explanation about absolute positions. They are actually positioned relative to the viewports. Viewports, these are areas that you cannot see here, but for you to be able to see it, you have to put the top, bottom, right and left property. You have to attach it to it too. So now when I put left as 20 pixel, you see what will happen now. You can see that it is actually, I've already told you that it is positioned around these white areas, and the left properties is meaning that okay, generate is a 20 pixel space around the left. You can see, if I okay, let me use right so that you can see that is actually working. 20 pixel around the right, you can see it now. It's actually appearing here. It's generating a space of 20 pixel before appearing that, before allowing that element to appear, while the other elements, they are still there, like they are still positioned on the same place. But this one, because we have actually put the absolute position, that's why it is appearing differently from the rest. So in short, position absolute, it will not leave the space of the previous, like the it will not follow the normal document flow again. It will remove the elements from the normal document flow. Then it will now depends on where we want to put the elements now. So once we put the top level, bottom, right and left property, so that is what is going to determine its new position. That is where what is going to determine where the element is going to appear. So if I put bottom, now, so if I want it to appear at the right, but at the bottom, I'll just say right 20 pixel, then bottom, let me say 20 pixel too, and see what we have. You can see that is actually appearing at the bottom right side of the screen. So that is how the position absolutes work. And the last position that I'm going to be talking about is the position sticky. Position sticky, most importantly, it is used when we are talking about the nav bars. We are talking about, okay, this place now that is displaying the address bar here. When you are scrolling the document, this place doesn't go away. So this is a form of position sticky. Now let me practicalize it. Let me put this element back to its normal static positions. You can see they are back. But now the only thing that I am going to do right now is that let me create more divs. Let me create more divs. Div class, okay, order. Okay, let me just name it order, then box 5, box 6, box 7 and box 8. So let's see what will happen. Oh, I've not attached, I've not set their width and height. So then dot order, then width, width 200 pixel, height of 200 pixel, border 2 pixel, solid black. I don't want their display to be inline block because I want them to be stacked on top of each other, so that this box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, I want them to be position sticky, so that when the element scrolls, they are still going to be appearing on the screen. So now let's get that to work. So let me just put this only box 1 to be your position sticky. To be on position sticky. So here now the style here, then I'm going to put position, then sticky. Let me save. Then here now, although I have set the position to position sticky, but nothing is actually happening. For it to be able to happen, you have to set the top left, right or bottom property of it. You have to set it. Let me now set it at top of 5 pixel, which means that once the element has scrolled after 5 pixel, then you should fix the position. Let's see what we have. Let me refresh it. You can see that the box 1 is still there. You can see that all other elements, they are actually still there, but like all other elements are scrolling, but the box 1 is still there. You can see that as I'm scrolling now, box 2, box 3 and box 4, they are going, but the box 1, okay, let me change the background color. Let me change the background color so that you can see so that they can background color, so I can see the difference. Let me set the background color to cyan. Okay, now let's scroll. You can see that even it is now on the like it is lying on top box 5 now till you get to the end of the screen. That is how it's going to be. That is how the element is going to be. So you can see, just like this address bar is not fading away, then our box 1 too is not fading away until you get to the actual elements position. You can see you can have it at anywhere. So you can have it at anywhere depending on the previous position of that box. So with this, I've explained what position are. Then I want you to look out for projects that you can do with the position property. It is very interesting and very simple to learn. Once you master it, then